I'm all 32.
Our pick's going to be so awesome.
I represent everybody.
Okay. We have put together the finest collection of young minds in fantasy football, in the world of professional wrestling, comedy, acting, gaming. We have got it all, and we are happy to bring it to you. You can watch along on the all-new NFL Fantasy app. You're going to watch some of the best in the business competing for the first ever Fantasy League One title. Fantasy football is a competition.
I'm here to crush dreams.
One of the most time-honored athletic competitions.
This is out of my league right here.
It dates back to the Roman Empire.
Make sure you know how to spell her name correctly for the trophy.
When they filled the Colosseum, they would rock the hula hoop. Marcus Grant's really good, so I'm sorry to do that to you. First to drop, you're last to draft. Duval! Okay, everybody, make sure that everybody has room. Oh my gosh! What happened?
Chris Carson.
Oh, crazy.
What in the world?
What's up, babe?
I can't even hear myself think. Candace will not shut up.
Man, I'm feeling iffy, but I'm feeling good at the same time.
I'm still hostile about the hula hooping.
I'm the mark of integrity. I would never do such a thing.
You guys are absolutely killing me.
Yes.
Literally
Yes.
your 9th round receiver is going to outscore your 4th round receiver.
Kane is doing a radio interview, but is still drafting on the app. That's how easy the all-new NFL Fantasy app is.
Andrew Luck.
There it is.
He's going to be fine by week 1.
We begin with a stunner. Colts quarterback Andrew Luck announced his retirement.
You got this. You got this. That's all I need to say.
I don't know if you peeped my roster at all, but this is what I do is I come out and I win championships.
I like that.
Valiant effort. Our first timer. What should the last place punishment be?
Get access to your social media.
As a Bears fan, I don't think that I'm going to dismiss kicking altogether.
He missed it.
Let's get it on. As a Bears fan, I shouldn't have dismissed quarterback play from Mitch Trubisky, but it was fun. Like, it's
What a
fun to
trip
look
down
back.
memory lane.
I know, right? It seems so long ago.
I know, it does.
And I think
miss it.
it's clear, too. There was a total accident. You can
Right.
see the video shows.
Right. The video shows you never hit the hula hoop.
Yeah, I was.
Listen, look how far we've come.
He was just walking past, and it just.
I was just
sort
walking
of
past.
happened.
There's a lot of things going on, trying to, be the host and trying to be the MC. There's like, so many things going on.
So tough being you. So tough.
Thank you.
You do it all. You do it all.
I appreciate it. But we're going to take a look right now at our consolation bracket for the Fantasy League One, the Ice Bowl.
I know. What the heck happened? I have no idea. It looks like I just did not show up.
Wow.
Yeah, apparently I
And of
took the week
course,
off.
Worst of the best. Team AEW. By the way,
I rested
you.
all my starters in this one.
you look like the Houston Texans today.
I rested all my
playing
starters.
Marcus and I were on the same page.
Team AEW, they were so good, though. And that's got to be so disappointing. What is that? Come on.
No bueno.
I mean, literally, like,
Not even 50 points.
I had multiple weeks where, like, I don't think I had anybody who scored double digits except Matt Ryan. Like, Matt Ryan scored 15, and everybody else was, like, at 8 or below on my team that week. It was terrible.
That always happens. But one player who was
Literally.
very good in Week 16 was Tyler Boyd.
Oh, my
He came
gosh.
out, he had a monster game, and you were going against him?
Unfortunately. Yeah. Not good. Not good
No.
at all. Hollywood can take the win on this one. Tyler Boyd had a huge game. Nobody really saw it coming, especially not even with their starting quarterback. So, well, he was back, but hadn't been playing.
Right.
And so Tyler Boyd just had a monster game against the Dolphins. 33 fantasy points. It was the most that he had scored all season long. 2 touchdowns. He was unstoppable.
Yeah, you start to think about this
So
team.
good play by Hollywood Inc.
And I know we're going to be talking about this player a little bit later on, but you think like the skill players for Cincinnati, if they get a young quarterback, they could be onto something there.
You wouldn't be referring to a guy who accounted for 8 touchdowns
Joe Burrow.
yesterday. Yeah, that
I'm
guy.
not
That's
saying
the one.
one way or
The
the
entire
other.
LSU team is going to be a Bengal.
All right, well, let's take a look at the championship round right now. And, of course, what is it? Irrelevant. Third place, bro. That's a solid third place.
Oh, the Oracle, though. Look at that number.
That is really the thing.
That's ridiculous.
Once again, she put up 190 points in the championship round for the celebrity division. Comes out the following week and puts up 173. And, of course, she'll be hosting this, or hoisting
this title right here from Undisputed
We all
Belts.
wanted it.
They gave us that.
It's pretty sweet.
It's beautiful.
It is one of the best championship
It's
belts I've
awesome.
ever seen. And so she'll be taking that. But I do want to wait, before we do that, before we go to this message, I do want to say that she'll receive not only this championship belt, she receives $25,000 for her charity Innocence Project. And of course, an honorable mention to the fantasy footballers, they receive $5K for St. Jude's Children's Research
Yay, that's
Hospital.
awesome.
So good for them.
Yeah.
And let's allow Candace an opportunity to take a little bit of a victory lap.
Hey guys, happy holidays. It's pretty insane that I won my first year playing fantasy football. I was super nervous when I decided to do it. I remember telling my publicist, no, I don't know anything about fantasy. I'm not going to do it. But the NFL Network assured me that, it's for anybody. And really it is. If I, someone who's never played before, can not only win against all the other celebrities, but even the analysts, it's pretty safe to say that, anybody can kind of get in and figure it out and have fun with it. I didn't realize I would have as much fun as I did. I definitely got heated over a couple games through my phone several times. It was really, really fun. I'm really, really stoked that I gave it a try. I won tickets to the Super Bowl, which is insane. Looking forward to that. And I won $25,000 from my charity, which is the Innocence Project. They work to exonerate those who've been wrongly accused. So I know that money is going to go a long way for a really important cause. So I'm really, really glad that I participated this year. It's been really fun. And I don't know, Adam Rank, fantasy footballers, all you guys, get your stuff together because this just wasn't a good look for you.
It was all sweet and light, and then she just threw in that jab.
I'm like, oh, this is
She
so
deserves
sweet.
it.
I
She
don't wanna
deserves
say-
it. Her first year of playing, and she crushed it.
Did you win your first year playing?
No.
Did
No.
anybody?
No, my first year of fantasy, no.
No, because something that I didn't do, which is something that Candace did a great job is my very first year playing, I did not manage my team as well as she did. Like she definitely, which is something that obviously we all do now, where we're streaming quarterbacks, where during bye weeks we kind of try and strategize. If a player gets injured, you look to see who his backup is, and that's something I didn't do my first year, which her first year, she did a great job doing that.
Yeah, she absolutely did. And that brings us to our next subject, because it's time now for fantasy insurance presented by Geico. And we'll be looking at some of the moves that had Candace covered over the course of the season. And we'll start with Kenyon Drake. Who wants to kick it off with Kenyon Drake?
I'll talk about Kenyon Drake. I mean, the best thing that happened to Candace was Kenyon Drake leaving Miami.
Absolutely.
Like, if Kenyon Drake stays in Miami, who knows where she is in Fantasy League One. But he gets out of Miami, he goes to Arizona. They use him as a featured workhorse back, and he provided dividends both for the Cardinals and for fantasy managers. I mean, you see what he did there in Super Bowl week, 2 touchdowns. He had 18 receiving yards, 166 rushing yards, 33 fantasy points. And this is sort of who he was in the back half of the season, a guy who really took made the most of his opportunity. And hey, it worked out great for Candace, so congrats there.
Another huge player she had was at the tight end position, which was really tough for a lot of people. Mark Andrews seemed to really step up for her.
Somebody who you really wouldn't have expected to be as successful as he has been this year, but he has been Lamar Jackson's go-to target. So if you picked up Mark Andrews just like Candace did, she's winning. He leads the league with 10 receiving touchdowns out of all tight ends. That's the most in the NFL. He's averaging just under 14 points per game. That's third among tight ends. Obviously, last week he had 2 touchdowns, 93 yards, 6 receptions. He had 27 fantasy points. So each and every week, Mark Andrews has been one of those top tight ends, and you didn't really even have to draft him that early in order to get such a key player. He's been playing out of the slot. He plays as a receiver. He kind of does everything out there for that Ravens offense.
And I would say that the MVP of her squad was the first overall selection in the draft. And that, of course, is Saquon Barkley. And I know a lot of people, Marcus, we talked about this. A lot of people were saying, like, how would you even get to a finals with Saquon Barkley? Well, obviously, Candace did it because of how well she constructed her team. But this guy, I think the reason that you would vote him as the MVP is that he wasn't an anchor on your team.
Right.
And when you needed him to step up in Week 16, that's absolutely what he did.
Right, weeks 15 and 16, because he had a big week the week before that, too. So, yeah, it was nice. Like you said, if you built your roster properly, and she had other great players. She had Chris Godwin, until he got hurt. She had a lot of help elsewhere, so it sort of masked the weeks that Saquon wasn't great. And then when she needed him, he stepped up and he was the Saquon that you expected when you spent the first pick on.
But that is goes to show what Candace did throughout the season. So obviously Fabs, one of our fantasy analyst experts, helped her draft. But then even when Saquon went down, she still did such an amazing job throughout the season managing. She would go on Twitter, ask her fans which one she should. I know, it was amazing.
That was good.
So that just goes to show that she did get lucky with drafting, obviously, a player like Saquon Barkley and other key players. But what she did is by streaming all year and really strategizing and managing.
Very good. And that was Fantasy Insurance presented by Geico. And when we come back after this, we're going to be taking a look at the valuable 2020 draft picks. We'll get you set up. You're watching NFL Fantasy League 1 presented by Geico. Time now for 15 minutes to kickoff, presented by Geico. Here are your notable actives and inactives. Here, Josh Jacobs is doubtful for the game with the Raiders this afternoon. Deshaun Watson questionable, as is DeAndre Hopkins, also questionable, playing in those late windows. Some of the guys in the earlier games, Zach Ertz is going to be out. Dwayne Haskins is going to be out. Of course, Dallas Goedert would be a great start for you in a game that the Philadelphia Eagles need to win and in for them. So look for Dallas Goedert. And that was 15 minutes to kickoff, presented by Geico. And right now, it's week 17. Of course, we're going to take a look back, not the draft, but the best of the entire season of Fantasy League 1. Let's check it out. One league that does need to be decided is NFL Fantasy League 1.
Taylor, you might have won if you hula hooped longer.
Make sure that everybody has room. Oh my gosh! What happened? Oh my gosh!
I get to go again.
Are you the commissioner? You are not. You are done. I tell you what, if you end up somehow surviving tonight, you can bring a Patriots hat. I will don it on Tuesday's show.
Oh, you have to wear it the entire day.
The entire done.
I'm feeling good, guys, honestly. There's a reason I showed up today.
What is up with you two losing to celebrities?
It was very unsportsmanlike of my team to get so many points this week and take the W.
I'm first.
She's a legit supervillain now.
Don't listen to Adam Rank.
Wow, you got a random chair to the back of the head there.
Oh, it was a slaughter. It was a slaughter.
I hope your wish was that you were going to beat the fantasy footballers.
I'm Adam Rank. It's me. I'm Rank. I've got more points than you. I got more points and less hair. Okay, you beat us. Oh, get bodied.
I don't know, we're not like rooting against the football.
No, we are. No, totally, we are. No. You're absolutely right. We're totally rooting against. What show are you on? If you lose to a celebrity this week, sumo suit. Sumo suit.
Sumo suit.
Cheers. Sucking.
And there are consequences for losing. Punch it! That's what you get.
Yeah.
Team AEW has defeated Taylor Made. I mean, you're going to get iced.
We've got some MMA fighters on the show.
I'm losing in every single league.
I'm gonna separate him from consciousness.
I love you, Quentin.
I like Quentin.
Maybe you were pounding the table for Royce to run through the Raiders.
Adam is disgusted.
You know what I'm most disgusted about? Your fantasy team.
What were you? Your winner of this.
How is this?
See, I think she might be the only.
I can't believe I endorsed this.
My got it in the bag is Chris Godwin.
I think he's going to have 3 touchdowns on Sunday.
Devontae Parker, who kind of looked like Odell Beckham Jr. last week, is going to be a top 10 fantasy wide receiver this week.
Yeah, let's pat ourselves on the back a little bit. We actually went out there and nailed some solid advice.
We just came off a big win. You know, the receiver core had an amazing shout out to Julio.
I'm sorry, we?
My difference maker, I think, is going to be Marlon Mack this week. That was a poor decision on that.
You let them run up the score on you, and then, of course, they started running their mouth.
If they want to call the league early, I get it. Send the trophy.
Sure. We will not be sending you the trophy. Hit my music, because it's time for Club Dub! Woo! Yeah! Woo, woo! Oh, who got that dub this week? I missed
we had
Club
fun.
Dub.
We had fun.
It's amazing they let us stay on the air.
I'm surprised
Why?
the Cake Smash didn't make it.
Yeah, what is up? Yeah, there was a lot of good moments. Maybe that is the extended cut. I don't know. Do they still
The
do
director's cut, yeah.
The director's cut, the DVD, the Zack Snyder original version. But let's talk about some 2020 fantasy draft targets. That's in the past, so we got to look forward. And Marcus, who is going to be one player that you're going to be targeting in drafts coming next season?
I think a guy I'm really targeting, Kyler Murray is going to be one of them. I don't know if we have Kyler Murray video, but I'm saying Kyler Murray because I think he's a guy that, look, I think he can be, hey, look at that, this Kyler Murray video.
There it is.
Look, he's a guy that everybody's looking for the next big thing at quarterback, right?
Yeah.
2 years ago it was Patrick Mahomes. This year it was Lamar Jackson. The thing is, those guys are going to go early in your draft. So I'm looking for a guy that you can sort of wait until maybe the 9th or 10th round. Hopefully he's still going to be there and still going to produce. And I think Kyler Murray in this Arizona offense is sort of set up to be the next big thing at fantasy quarterback.
Yeah, I really love that. One of the guys, or actually there's a pair of players I'll be looking at in a lot of our drafts, is Chris Godwin will be number one that I'm going to start off with. I had Mike Evans this year, and it worked out pretty well. I grabbed him in the second round, and I think I'd be very comfortable going with Chris Godwin because I feel that he's going to start to evolve and kind of move past Mike Evans. I'd be happy with both of them, but I really do believe that as we watched this Buccaneers offense over the second half of the season, it became clear that Chris Godwin was the guy that you're going to want to have moving forward, especially if they keep Jameis Winston, and Jameis Winston's been great. And you know what? I'm also going to try to pair him with George Kittle. One of the things that I did this year was pair to tight end. I went Travis Kelce, number one. I think I'm going to move on to George Kittle. I might change this. If the 49ers win the Super Bowl and you're anticipating a little regression, I might step back on this. But I do think that George Kittle has kind of emerged as one of the most exciting players in the NFL, and I think that that's a pretty good way to go.
Yeah,
what about you, Taylor?
Definitely. It's actually somebody that I targeted this year as well, but it was kind of more of taking a chance on somebody that had been very injury prone, but it's Dalvin Cook, who obviously has outperformed exceeded all of our expectations. He's averaging just under 21 fantasy points per game. That's second among all running backs. He was taken around the third round, the 11th running back taken in most fantasy leagues, but he's outperformed 9 out of 10 of those fantasy running backs taken before him. The only player that he didn't outperform this year was Christian McCaffrey. And so I think that this year, Dalvin Cook really proved that he was the guy that could stay healthy, that could be the workhorse in this Vikings offense. And the Vikings are rushing the ball 49% of the time on offense. That's the third most in the NFL. I don't see that changing. Dalvin Cook is definitely going to be somebody that is going to go a lot higher next year, and I'm still going to take him
He's
early.
my early pick for the number one overall selection next year. I think he is. I think he's going to, because Christian McCaffrey had such a huge season. I think he comes back a little bit. So, yeah.
For sure. Speaking of number 1 overall, Joe Burrow in the real NFL draft, would you be picking him next year?
Absolutely. I think that, you always hesitate to take those quarterbacks too soon. Lamar Jackson, it did take him, this was his second season technically. So I would maybe give him a little bit of time in that Bengals offense because I don't know how many weapons there are going to be surrounding him. If they are going to take him number 1 overall, how much is he going to have protection? Is he going to have a good offensive line? Is he going to have a ton of receivers? We just don't really know that yet. We know that Tyler Boyd can do a lot. But definitely in his second year, Joe Burrow is somebody I'm going to go grab.
All right. Well, guess what? Time now for Play Your Cards Right, presented by Panini Trading Cards. And we are going to be talking about a Play Your Cards Right MVPs for the coming season. And let's talk a little bit about Christian McCaffrey, because this was a player, to me, that was like having 2 players in one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because he caught the ball effectively. We knew what he was going to do as a running back. That was pretty obvious. But the fact that he was, for all intents and purposes, he was the Panthers' offense this year. Pretty much everything went through Christian McCaffrey. You see that 448.4 fantasy points. But he has a chance, I believe, to pass LaDainian Tomlinson for most fantasy points all time. I think he's got to have like a really huge game.
He broke several records.
He's got to get close to 40 points. But when you see it, you're like, yeah, that seems doable.
That seems possible, right? Like he could possibly do that. But like, he was amazing this year. I think, though, next year, they're going to retool this offense, right? We'll see who the quarterback's going to be and what happens there.
The offensive coordinator could be.
Right, all that stuff. So, having him do this again next year seems really hard, which is sort of why I said Dalvin Cook is my number 1 overall. But I think Christian McCaffrey's easily going to be a top 2 or 3 pick next year.
Absolutely. And another guy who's going to be probably the first quarterback off the board, Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, something that you just said, Marcus, is he's a 2-for-1 player, and that's exactly what Lamar Jackson is. Lamar Jackson is a quarterback and a running back. He's broken records for rushing yards this year, passing yards this year. If you want a quarterback that is a running back as well, that's constantly getting in the end zone, and Adam, you've had him on your team. He's putting up insane numbers every single week.
Absolutely. Yeah, the floor has been just remarkable. Just every week you can go in and count on him to go out there and do something special. I was disappointed I wasn't able to bring home this belt that Undisputed Belts provided for us.
I was shocked that if you had Lamar Jackson on your team,
it is really difficult. At least in the other leagues where I had him, the 2 other leagues that I won, I had Lamar Jackson, so he was my MVP. And again, there's going to be a temptation next year to want to draft him, especially considering how good he was. And
I think you do have to draft
probably
him
have to overpay for it.
You're going to have to draft him in like the 2nd round.
Yeah,
I might just do it. But
you've got to.
That was Play Your Cards Right, presented by Panini Trading Cards. Coming back, we're going to be listening to your 2019 fantasy football gripes. Maybe I'll complain some more about not taking home this belt right here. You're watching NFL Fantasy League One, presented by Geico. Time now for 15 for 15, presented by Geico. And let's get to some of the fantasy gripes that a lot of you have had and responded to us there on Twitter, and we will kind of commiserate with you.
Yeah.
Try to make you feel better about some of the decisions you
might
might
We can all commiserate in fantasy.
Oh yeah, we've all been there.
We probably can. And let's start with Beast Coast, who said that he played the Rams defense in the semifinals, got -8.
Yeah.
Lost by 1.5. There's defense wins championships.
So really, even if the Rams had -6, like he still would have
been fine.
Right.
Would have been fine.
-8 was a bridge too far.
That is one that's going to be tough. What about Patrick Cheeseman? When I waited to draft a wide receiver in the 4th round, don't do that.
Yeah, you got to go wide receiver, running back in the first 2 rounds immediately.
Although here's the thing,
I always go running back and then wide receiver. I did 2
You went
running
three,
backs.
Wait, you went 3 running backs in a row.
But
you did exactly what Patrick Cheeseman did.
No, I did running back.
Nick Chubb. Ezekiel Elliott, Nick Chubb.
And then did I do Dalvin?
And then Dalvin Cook.
Okay, well, whatever. But I still.
That's you and Patrick. That's why you lost.
I don't think so.
He
Because
still
I
could have
think if you
got Chris
have
Godwin in the 4th round.
if you have running backs, I feel like running backs are just as powerful as receivers.
All right.
If you have good ones.
All right. What about
Look
Steven?
at those 3. I did.
His season went wrong for 3 things: trusting Le'Veon Bell while he's with the Jets, taking Nick Chubb instead of Dalvin Cook in round 2, and not trusting Austin Eckler even when Melvin Gordon came back.
Nick Chubb still had a pretty good year. I mean, you can't really say that.
This is such a good
wouldn't blame Nick Chubb though, right? Like,
not trusting.
Don't blame Nick Chubb.
Don't blame Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb was fine.
If you would have taken Dalvin
week
Cook,
15, he led the league in rushing yards per game.
He's still fine. I mean, the Austin Eckler thing, like the
Le'Veon Bell thing.
Here's the thing. New corollary. Beware of Adam Gase players. Right? You see the guys.
Until they leave.
You see all the Adam Gase expats, right? Ryan Tannehill, Kenyon Drake, Mike Gesicki, Devontae Parker. They break free and they're great. Le'Veon Bell, Sam Darnold are still sort of in that. They're sort of locked down.
Jay-Z wants to say that he passed on Lamar Jackson. Hey, everybody seemingly did that. I mean, I didn't get him in every league. So everybody. By the way, I'm upset at my friends in my league of record. They took Lamar Jackson because they knew how much I liked him.
Don't you hate that?
Oh, that's
like,
the
why
worst.
do you watch our show? I mean, no, watch our show.
Watch our show.
Don't do what
take
we
my
say.
guys.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
You had him in this league, and that's what matters.
That's true. Mark says he drafted David Johnson and Cam Newton. Yeah. In my league of record, I took David Johnson.
Yeah.
Hank, injuries, so many injuries. Dalvin Cook, Derrick Henry, Chris Carson, and Will Fuller. Obviously, these late in the year.
Dalvin Cook just got injured. He was
But
amazing.
obviously, it was not the ending that he was hoping for. He was the #1 seed with a 12-2 record.
Yeah.
And then
his whole team went poof all at once.
Yeah,
That's tough.
It's always tough
That's
when
not
you
your
go
fault.
like undefeated and then all of a sudden you lose.
Right. He made a great pick. Let's do Mario's. He started Boone over Amir Abdullah.
Yeah, I know a lot of people did that. Sorry,
Graham
Mario.
Graham was really big on the Boone train, and so then he
Let's
kind
not
of
throw Graham under the bus when he's not here. Oh, let's
no,
throw Graham
it's
under the
not
bus.
throwing
Thanks,
him under
Graham.
the bus. He was
You
just so
ruined
good.
Mario's season.
Look, I made the decision. I succumbed to the pressure. I was like, you know what, I should play him.
Let's do Harris
Not
with
good.
Harris did Miles Sanders when he slid.
That
happens every year.
I wonder how many people lost because Miles Sanders slid instead of going to the end zone.
We got to close this out. I want to be big thank you to everybody here behind the scenes. By the way, that was 15 for 15, presented by Geico. I want to give a big shout out to Justin Harvey.
Yes.
The CP of the show, Hytham Kalani, who has been with us for most of the season, of course. Sarah Parsons, Rick Savage, everybody else here. And thank you guys for playing along.
Thank you.
I'm
Our
an idiot.
control rooms, everyone back there. We love
What is the promo?
we love doing this year, so thank you guys for
I got the
letting us
wrong
be part of
cards
it.
out.
We have Prosecco.
Woohoo!
Thank
What's
you for
poppin'?
joining us.
It's not apple cider like I
Wait.
did that one time.
Keep the action going. Make sure you see the NFL Fantasy Playoff Challenge
We'll be
available at NFL.com/Fantasy Playoff Challenge. And our friends in the UK, check out Sky Sports. We'll see you then. Thanks again, everybody.